I'm sorry.
Just because it's hard to talk about, baby. And I know you kind of blocked yourself off. Basically, I treat you like I just treat you like the negative feelings that I have.
I believe in you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, yeah. I believe in you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, yeah. Let's stay here for a lifetime underneath the moonlight, 'cause I don't want us to go. No, I don't want us to go. Yeah, you could be my lifeline, you could be my sunshine in a world so full of pain. Can you make it go?
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to another episode in our series Get Uncomfortable with the Barthols. Today, we're going to be getting a little uncomfortable talking about loneliness. Not just in general, specifically in the marriage, because that's where we face our loneliness more often, because when you draw solace from one another, that pillar is often, the thing that saves you from loneliness, but also when it's missing can leave you feeling the loneliest.
Yeah.
At least in my experience.
Yeah, and just to say as a disclaimer, a lot of people might be like, how can you be lonely and you're married and you guys live together? Lonely doesn't mean having people around, because you can have 100 people around you and you're still lonely. So I want to get into that. Like, what would you describe as loneliness within your marriage? Like, when do you feel the most lonely? Like,
when you and I are disconnected, that's a simple answer.
Yeah.
There's no question in my mind. When you and I aren't like actively moving in the same direction,
yeah.
you and I are each kind of split off on our own goals, and we're not united as a household.
Mm-hmm.
When there's something you're thinking about that's different from me, or I'm working on something that you're not working on, and we don't have that communication that is still leading us to sit down and talk and sit down and have these sorts of conversations.
Yeah.
When I don't have that with you,
mm-hmm.
I'm lonely. Like, when I don't feel like I can, when
reach
I don't
certain levels.
No, it's not about certain levels. No.
No, what I mean
when
is,
I don't
like,
feel like I can converse with you
mm-hmm.
freely and openly. When I feel like I have to walk on eggshells
mm-hmm.
because you're mad at me, or when I'm mad at you, so I feel like I have to walk on eggshells,
mm-hmm.
so I don't say something that's going to make my anger even worse,
mm-hmm.
or put you in a position which it will make me even more angry,
mm-hmm.
right? Like, I don't like anger when it comes to our marriage, and when we're feeling that disconnection and contention,
mm-hmm.
that's where I feel my loneliness. When it's just kind of me dealing with all of those feelings by myself.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's in somewhat kind of the same. What my loneliness comes from. My loneliness is really more physical. Like
Mm-hmm.
your presence. It's more physical, and why I said that is because mentally, like you said, you feel lonely when we're not connected on, like, moving in the same direction. I don't know. I'm very much maybe too independent or self-driven. I'm very, I don't need, it's not that you need it either, it's just that it would be more nicer for us to move in the same pace.
Not even that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's more about the feelings.
Yeah.
Right? It's not about, wait, I should rephrase how I said that earlier, because it's not necessarily about it really isn't about us working on the same thing. I really should be more clear. It's about the feelings,
mm-hmm.
right? It's that contention. That the ultimate feeling of loneliness
mm-hmm.
comes from sitting in that sea of negativity that sometimes piles on, or that sometimes when I boil over and break.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of sitting in that dark room in my mind by myself, right?
Yeah.
That's where my loneliness is. And I get what you're saying with the physical loneliness.
Yeah, my physical loneliness is really, and at this point, honestly, it's not even more of a loneliness to me. It's just like, I've just come to, I wouldn't say accept it, because sometimes I bug about it and I, like, have a few cents to say about it, but it's just like, like I could be here all day and like you'll be tucked in the office, like doing whatever you're doing, and I'm around here, and it's just like, whoa. Sometimes for a minute I forgot that you're here, and it doesn't feel like I was sorry. It didn't feel like I was missing out. And then there are times when it's like you're you don't even get up, because you normally get up to like, come kiss me or give me a hug or something. It's like times you don't get up, and it doesn't make me feel bad. It actually like say, oh, I know he's here, and like when we have that connection, you say. But like when we're not connecting, that's really the hardest part. Like when we're not connecting and you're like distant, like physically, it really just don't make me feel. It's just like, okay, this stage I was lonely, but now it's just I don't really care. It's like whatever. To the point where no, never mind.
You're denying your feelings too. You're using you are acknowledging that you feel lonely, but you're trying to say that you've gotten to the point where you don't allow yourself to feel lonely. You are bottling up your emotions.
I am.
Instead, acknowledge that feeling. Instead of saying, I'm too strong to feel that, acknowledge that feeling. Because when we acknowledge those feelings, it lets us open up a little bit more. I had to learn that. You remember I never used to acknowledge that I felt anything other than angry.
I'm sorry.
Just because it's hard to talk about, baby. And I know you kind of blocked yourself off. Basically, I treat you like I just treat you like the negative feelings that I have.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, you did this thing a couple weeks ago and I never addressed it, so I'm very angry about it now. It's just, all I see is those angry feelings. So that's what I address. And it adds to that loneliness, because in that time period, while I've bottled it up, it's been shaking. And you know what happens with a shaken soda? You can't touch it. You can't put it next to the other sodas, right?
Yeah.
Right? So that shaken soda disconnects. Me being that shaken soda, when I'm full of those tumultuous, angry feelings, I gotta disconnect. And it looks like that's what you do as well. When you're full of those tumultuous, angry feelings, you're like, if I keep being around this other can of soda, I'm gonna blow up and both of us are gonna get covered in soda.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
pretty much it. It's just like
go ahead.
loneliness for me is like I don't think I've ever even talked about like loneliness, because it happens if you really look back on it, it don't happen a lot, but it happened enough to where it can start taking a toll, And honestly, it don't take much of account for you to be overwhelmed by loneliness. It's one of those feelings where it happened twice and it can literally like wears down on you, because as human, you're meant to like
you're meant to be connected.
Be connected.
We just read 1 Corinthians 7 verses 1 through 40. Like we just talked about that, and it's talking about the connection. Verses 1 through 5 at least are talking about the importance of the connection between a husband and wife, right? It's important about having the connection between you and your spouse. And when I say the connection, I mean the connection, right? Because it is important.
Yeah.
Because even the Bible mentions that the connection is important.
See, but that's one of the things. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
That's one of the things I don't think I can say for myself, I don't think I've ever withheld that from you. Well, I'm not going to say never. But how do I say that? I've never withheld it because I was so...
We don't use that as a weapon.
Yeah, we don't
at no point. We're a very healthy couple when it comes to the connection.
Yeah.
The connection. We're a healthy couple. We are a healthy couple when it comes to the connection.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever have used the connection as a weapon, because as mentioned in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse, I think it's 3 and 4, essentially leading up into that, Paul says you're humans, and because you're humans you can't be trusted to remain sexually moral, so take a wife or take a husband and do
your own self.
Do your things there.
Yeah.
And as a husband, your body does not belong to you. The rights to your body are not yours.
Yeah.
Because you are to give your wife her conjugal rights. Mind you, that's the wording. Conjugal rights. And that is saying, as a husband, do not deny your wife her conjugal rights.
Yeah.
And then it also goes on to say, as a woman, your body is not your own. Your rights, the rights to your body belong to your husband. And then as a husband, the rights to your body belong to your wife. Verse 5, immediately following that, says, do this, essentially, because if you don't, you will go be immoral elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because you are human.
Yeah.
And using that as a weapon can lead to some of the darkest, deepest loneliness in your marriage that you possibly can.
Yeah. And it's so weird because I realized that I was reading on that at work the other day, and it's like over 85% of females within the US use that as a weapon to their spouse. And it kind of like breaks my heart. And like people, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I've never. And still among college educated women, 80% are the ones who leave. Yeah.
80% of the time it's the woman leaving. If you and I were to split up,
yeah,
there's over an 80% chance that it would be you who did it because you're college educated.
Yeah. And you can definitely see the reasoning behind it. Like, not say, oh, they have a right, but you can tell, like, when people have the ability to do.
If you have a weapon, why not use it?
Yeah.
Right? I don't know, it breaks my heart, but, that's what happens, and it builds to this horrible dark spot of loneliness.
Yeah.
There's a reason that there's a torture called sensory deprivation.
Yeah.
Because you want to know the fastest way to break a human? Complete and utter loneliness.
Yeah.
Take them out of everything.
And some of you might debate the point opposing what Billy said. It's like, I couldn't do that if I'm mad. I have to be emotional. Yes. Because I'm going to tell you to what extent. Because I can be mad at him. Because there are times when, like, I have a disagreement early on in the day and I'm like, it's like, it doesn't feel right. But I'm not letting tomorrow pass. We're talking about females who are letting it days turning into weeks and months and doing that. It's like, you can understand because we're humans and we feel what we feel in the moment. It's like, I'm just really feeling broken, or I'm not emotionally connected now to give my body to you, and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, when I calm down, we'll see what happened, or tomorrow, or something. You can talk about it, but it's when it's gone for longer than that.
It's not a sin to lust for your spouse.
It's not.
It's not a sin to lust for your spouse. And let me tell you, as a human, you do some funky stuff in lust.
Yeah.
And when you're angry, no, you may not be able to get it up, so to speak. But when you're angry, you may not be able to do that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be angry for 5 days straight. You're not going to be angry for a month, 2 months, 3 months.
Right.
You're not you as a human being cannot be angry.
That long. Oh, Billy, you don't know me.
No, you know what? You're right. I don't. But I know as a human, if you are just angry for that long, take it from a guy who was taught to be angry as much as possible. If as a human you are angry just permanently at your significant other that you live with, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have a heart attack. Your head's gonna pop.
Yeah.
Like if you've made it 2 months and you're just
you should just
the
call
entire
it
time.
quits.
No, I'm not
just
gonna say that.
leave.
I'm not gonna say
No,
that.
leave so you both can live. Because
No,
what if it's being around the person making you that angry? It doesn't have to be marriage. I'm not saying separate, but if it's somebody like, because you're saying it's impossible for someone to be that angry, right? But someone can be building up all this anger and they don't want to leave because they.
That's resentment.
Okay,
That's a
you're
different
right. You're right. Yeah, that's resentment. Yeah.
So now, just to kind of lead into a caveat, right? To kind of bring us back around. How do we deal with? How do we combat? Like, we've established some root causes, some times where it will happen. We've established some times where we inflict it on each other.
Yeah.
And some times where you see it in the open. You know, sure, we've been tangential. You know, we got to mention the spexy word. But we got to talk about that because all of it factors into that loneliness.
It does.
Now, how do we address it? I smell chicken. Is the chicken ready? Or
It's
like,
been ready.
Okay, just like, is dinner ready or is it cooking still?
It's ready.
Okay. So, with that, right? How do we identify and address that loneliness?
Well, you've now identified what caused your loneliness with me, and as I said, I acknowledge where I think I could have contributed to that, and I identified my loneliness of you being like your physical presence, you know, like
being around, like me making a point to just be there for you.
Yeah, and guys, let me explain. It's not one of those where you think, oh, do they have to be there 24/7? No. Billy plays his game 24/7. That's the opposite hand of it. Like,
I don't do that either.
Well, not anymore. But remember, this loneliness is not talking about yesterday. It's something that's been built in on. Like, Billy used to be on the game until like crazy hours until we made a compromise. But it's still getting fixed, guys. It's still like it's not as bad as it used to. But remember, again, we're not talking about just yesterday and today. So a lot of those like bad memories that I associate loneliness with, like in the past, is just coming up in the conversation, but not saying this is how I feel today.
But I didn't want to stop on that, like, because all we did was we clarified something with the way that you feel. Like all we did was clarify, like, oh, this is a feeling, right? This is a thing that happens.
Yeah.
And here's a way to look at it, in which instead of being like, hey, I'm feeling this way and it's your fault because you haven't fixed the way I'm feeling. You're like, hey, I'm feeling this way. Can you help me? Right?
Okay.
Like, it's not always, like, when I feel lonely and closed off and I shut down, right? You notice how I've been coming to you lately? Like, hey, can you be there for me? Instead of saying, like, hey, I'm broken and you're not doing anything.
Yeah. Because most times you don't know. Like, most times I don't know, most times you don't know, because these are things that we're both dealing with on our own.
And we're lonely because we're bottling it up.
Yeah.
So
it all comes back again to communicating, you know, and that's the scary part of it, because I feel like I'm gonna mess up if I say anything, because I feel like I'm gonna blow up pretty much if I say anything and make it worse. But at the same time, either I say anything or not say anything, I'm just gonna blow up one of the time. It's just at which part am I choosing to blow up hot, you know? That's just really.
Hey, could I ask you to do something?
Yeah.
This is gonna be hard. I think this is where one of our sticking points is.
Yeah. What?
You have to learn to be vulnerable again. Because you can't heal and you can't address your emotions unless you're willing to be vulnerable. Because you've already tried to paint yourself as not vulnerable in the time we've been sitting doing this video. Paint yourself as I don't feel these things, I don't hurt, right?
See, I put up those walls for a reason. Because I would rather deal. Yeah, whatever. I'll try. I'm serious. I'll try. I don't know when it's gonna be successful, but I'm gonna keep trying.
No.
What?
You shouldn't try at all.
Why?
Because trying implies the possibility of failure.
Isn't I should just do it? Like
No,
yeah.
no. You don't just do it.
What?
Start the process. Everything's a learning process. You got to take a step.
Yeah.
But when you take that step, you're not trying to take a step. You're taking that step. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not like reaching my foot out, seeing if that ground is safe when I'm trying to create a better marriage and a more open, like me with you, where I can share my feelings and where you can share your feelings. I'm not taking like, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is where we're going, right? But
Yeah.
it's not. I'm trying to learn and I'm accepting like, oh, maybe I won't. No, then every day I actively work to become a better man for you, to learn how to deal with my emotions better, to where when I get uncomfortable I don't just walk out of the room and rub my head until I'm calm again.
Yeah.
These are things that I'm actively like working on. And sure I fail, right?
Yeah.
But working on it implies the possibility of failure, but also says that that failure will not stop me.
Yeah.
When you try, a failure can put you on the, can put it at the end.
Okay.
There's pride, and both of us are prideful people.
So you're saying I have to be willing to say I'm going to be vulnerable and
Because that's where you have to set down your pride. When you say I'm going to be vulnerable, you are saying I don't have to be prideful with you because I don't have to be strong. Just like I promise that I will be more vulnerable with you and be more present for you, so that we cannot be lonely in this marriage together.
okay. No promise to be more vulnerable with you and open, so I don't have to be lonely, and we don't have to be lonely in our marriage together.
It was hard, wasn't it? It was hard to say.
What is?
But it's the first step. But as you can see, as y'all can see.
I forgot the camera is there. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the camera's our camera's about to die, so we're gonna be wrapping it up here real quick. But as you guys can see, we're not there. We use these for just as much to grow, and so that you guys can see that even though oh, we take these wonderful adventures and we go to see these states. No, we struggle because we're people. And it's not always easy to keep a marriage together.
Yeah.
It's a job. But if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah. Okay.
So, tell you what, guys.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you, guys.